gonna say I read that tonight, and I think what are we three? This is like the third part of the War Machine storyline.
Yeah.
Third or fourth part.
Frank Castle gets the War Machine armor.
It is night and day between that and what Clint was. I'm telling you that last series, he was catching like guys in the subway pushing people in front of trains. Like this is not what Frank Castle does. Frank Castle takes out an army, like a rogue military like group or something. That's what Frank Castle doesn't catch muggers and subway guys.
The Legacy title is a bit meaningless. I think it only really has any sense with X-Men, because X-Men have gone back to that kind of early to mid 90s titles with like Generation X and having two X-Men teams and having all these mutants backing together, because they weren't giving X-Men no attention for a long period of time.
Yeah, and they had that Inhumans on the brain for like a few years.
And it was awful, but Tom Taylor on All New Wolverine is still writing a brilliant All New Wolverine book.
Oh yeah,
that is a good really book.
That's like probably my favorite X-Men book actually, and it's fun and it's well written. The characters he's introduced, like Gabby, are just gorgeous.
I like Gabby. I do like Gabby.
I really love the new Wolverine's interactions with Old Man Logan. Just in any title, whenever Old Man Logan and her are together, it's some of the best stuff going on, I think.
Yeah. But once again, Marvel have. There's lots been mentioned recently on the internet and elsewhere about Marvel's policies now and sending books to shops. So they, with the whole variant cover business as well, that they'll have to sell a certain amount of books where you can get a variant cover in your shop. So a lot of these comic shops are buying lots of these books and trying to sell the variant covers to get more people buying things. So I think they get to return their books, but I think the numbers still count towards Marvel. So I think the sales numbers are not as good as they make out. And then they came out with.
I think Marvel used to have a no return. They used to have a no. I don't know if they do now, but I think they used to have a no return policy at one point.
And that's the bad thing, this variant thing. I understand variants, but it's become that's what most people they're not buying it to read the book. They're buying it for the cover that they can sell on eBay for $200, $300. That's what's bad.
It is, and it's pretty disgusting. And then Marvel have used a poor selling policy as an excuse for then saying legacy titles are existing because no one wants to read a female Iron Man, and that's utter bullshit. And that was never the case. It's not the fact that using some diversity in your superheroes is the reason why it's not selling. It's because you have this failed marketing model, which is just awful. And my local shop has problems with it. They just don't seem to sell books anymore on the whole, and they have to really buy more Funko Pops to make money.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is you get those covers when they're like a 1 in 50 stores or a 1 in 75 stores, whatever. Like the shop gets those. Whenever my shop's got, a lot of times my guy Mike just turns them down. He doesn't care about the incentive. He just says, well, I don't want the incentive. Nobody's gonna come in and buy these, so I don't. He doesn't do it. He just gets whatever amount he needs for the store. But once in a while they'll get one of those. Just I don't know if it's random or if Marvel just throws people a bone once in a while and sends out a random one to different shops. But they'll put those in there, and they're like immediately $45 for with the cover price of like $2.99 or whatever. And it's $45, $75 for this book that just came out. And it's like, nah, I'm not paying that.
I mean, my shop, there are some times where they'll go ahead and give me a variant at like cover price, depending on what it is. But there are ones, like especially some of the Howard ones, I paid $25 for, because the only two books I said I want variants for was Howard the Duck and Sonic the Hedgehog. Those were the only two books I always said I want, cover A and cover B and whatnot. Other than that, like I'll get some books from like Dynamite, and Dynamite usually they'll have 6 covers for a book: cover A, cover B, cover C, the cosplay variant cover. I just tell them whatever you want to throw in the box. I don't care what cover it is, but when variants have become what everybody's looking for, everybody wants that variant. They want, I want the variant that has Deadpool on it, even though Deadpool is nowhere in the book whatsoever. He's just on the cover for some weird fucking reason.
I've never gone to look for a variant with intention. The only ones I've ever bought were they just happened to be there when I saw them, and I said that's cool. I really like that cover. I want that. And I was buying the regular cover anyway, and I just happened to see that the variant, and I'll grab that too. But yeah, I've never bought any book just for the cover alone. Not one.
Now the other thing is, everybody's been up in arms because Marvel has canceled a lot of books lately. As you were alluding to, Kulbir, about the cancellations. They canceled Jean Grey, which I enjoyed the book Jean Grey. I thought Jean Grey was a very, very good book. I loved her interactions with Namor and Quentin Quire and all those other characters, and that got canceled. Did America get canceled, or is she still ongoing?
I don't think so. I think they're still cranking that one out.
Cranking that one out. But Gwenpool got canceled.
Iceman. Gwenpool getting canceled is a surprise.
Yeah. I love Gwenpool. I thought that was one of the better ones that they'd come out with. It was one of my. It was fun. It was a fun. It was like, I usually don't like the kooky stuff, like I said before, but that was made with the intention of almost like Howard the Duck. It was almost like a satire, like almost the way Howard the Duck was when it came out.
Yeah.
And she was a person from the real world that got dropped into the 616 Marvel universe and was interacting with and she knew everybody's secret identities. She knew what powers they had because she read comics, and she knew. So she adopted this. She's almost got the fourth wall power that Deadpool has, and that
she knows a very interesting idea.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting concept which they ran with.
Did they just? I'm not caught up to it. Did they just end it, or was there an ending written for it? Or
I'm not sure.
Leave it cliffhanger style.
I am not sure. With everything that they've done, and one of the things I was excited about when I first heard about it, but then when I realized they were only one-shots, I got really upset. Is they brought out old titles, but only as one-shots. So Shang-Chi, Darkhawk, Power Pack, Silver Sable. They brought out these, and then they're like...
2-in-1's a series, though. They're keeping 2-in-1 going, right?
But, like, I read the Darkhawk one-shot, and it was amazing. It was so good. But then it's like, you read it, it's a one-shot, and at the end, but it has the old numbering on it, but at the end it's like, do you want more of this story? Write to Marvel, because they actually, it's like they started a story. They actually started a story that could go on, because they had mentioned things like in that book, like Annihilation, and how he couldn't control the Darkhawk for a while, and things like that. And then it's just like, you want to read more? Write to Marvel and ask to make this I'm like, nobody's going to write you, Marvel, because they're too busy on Twitter complaining about how some artist drew a character's butt.
It won't be what they want, but they'll write to them.
And I liked the Power Pack one, because the Power Pack was amazing. It taught, because they actually aged. They're older now.
I missed that book, and I liked the interaction between them and the Future Foundation and the Fantastic Four. And that's a book I thought should have matured when they've gotten older and have an adult team of Power Pack. Maybe they have their own kids with powers at some point.
Are you reading Runaways? Runaways is a really lovely book.
I am reading Runaways. I was talking about that with the Chief. So I got Runaways because I love the character of Nico. I have always liked Nico. I liked her when was it Hopeless that did Avengers Arena? I really liked her in Avengers Arena and then Avengers Underground. I'm reading it. I'm liking it. I understand why it has to happen, but I really hate so much emphasis on Gert, and her attitude really pisses me off.
Yeah, she's a bit of a pain in the butt.
She's a huge pain, and I understand why. She's out of time. She's a girl out of time. She doesn't understand all this stuff that's happened. But at the same time, she's really annoying. But I love the Nico, story in that. I love her, what she's going through and what everybody's going through. So I am reading it. I am enjoying it. And that's a new writer to Marvel. Rainbow. What's her name? I forget.
Rainbow Bright.
Light bright. Turn on the magic of colored lights.
Today I read the latest issue of Spider-Man, and Wolverine did one of those little cameos at the end of it. So what all? Oh.
Let me just let me check who is writing Runaways. Why have I forgotten this?
Yeah, and Chief, it kind of I lost you guys there for just a second, so I missed that whole thing you just said.
Oh, I said what's the deal with the? Oh, go ahead, Kulbir.
Yeah, so it's Rainbow Rao, but more importantly, it's Chris Anker's doing the art, and he does gorgeous kind of close-up
Yes.
facial expressions thing, so he does a really good job. Yeah, so Wolverine is back. We don't know how or why or how the adamantium casing has melted.
It's like
But
kind
they
of
have his little
torn
snippet.
asunder.
They showed that
So,
it almost was kind of like it was like he broke out of it. That's like they
yeah,
showed it, and it was kind of like he broke out of it, because I'm not sure if it was Kitty that went to look at it,
yeah,
or somebody did. And I mean, he showed up at Thor too. At the end of Thor, Jane Foster's in the hospital. He brought her flowers and handed them to the
flowers.
receptionist, and was like, she's like, "There's no card there." He's like, "I know," and he just walks out.
And they showed these little snippets of him appearing in certain comics at the back, just a couple of panels, and it's quite nice actually. It's not in your face. It's very subtle,
Yeah,
and he's
it's
obviously
they're leading
returning.
it to something.
Well, we know
There's a
he has
couple
an
of secret.
Infinity Stone with him. He has an
It's
Infinity
Secret
Stone.
Empire, wasn't it? That's where
Well,
it happened.
Yeah.
there's one in Spider-Man 794 too at the very end, and he says he's like it's not, he's like talking, I guess he's talking to the Infinity Gem that he's got, and he says no, he says something like it's not time yet. He just like walks away.
But yeah, I guess he'll be back. Um, Marvel have chopped and changed their characters and the way they deal with their numbering and their arcs and their reboots. So a lot more than DC ever did. DC did one reboot. Marvel thought this is a good idea and just did it to death.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't worked. And they just seem to be inconsistent in what they're moving forward with. And Rebirth with DC, like I don't read huge amounts anymore. I like to read the Wildstorm stuff, which I think is really good.
Hmm.
And I read Batman, I read Superman because of Tomasi and Gleason, who are just phenomenal as they've always been, and Nightwing now by Sam
Okay.
Humphries.
All right.
Now, does that surprise you that Bendis is that Superman's better than it's been in I don't know how many years, and they're just gonna, and then Bendis is gonna come in and take over? Do you? I don't know if that's an improvement to me. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Tomasi and Gleason have been doing that book since the Rebirth started, and they've done a good job. And they do good long runs, and then they move on to something else. So I don't think it's a bad thing. But it's Bendis, isn't it? Now Bendis can.
We'll see. I mean, Bendis was good at one time. I mean, he was competent at one time.
Well, Bendis could forget how many Supermen there are, and then that could add a Superman that we don't know where he came from, and then Superman goes back and kills Ray Palmer. Superman and Black Canary go back in time to kill Ray Palmer, and
It's now I met Bendis last year at the London Super Comic Con. He came and was like one of the stars of the show, and I went to his little. I paid a bit more money to go to his hour in how to write comics, and he was very interesting and really really pleasant to talk to. Actually, he was not what I expected at all. He's a consummate professional, and he has a lot of respect for comics. He has a lot of respect for artists, and he's a company man almost. Like he knows how to produce books. He knows what the editors want, and he always produces books. And he also is very good at kind of working out what the artist wants to do and things like that. And you can see immediately why he's worked for so long as well as he's worked. And I had a lot of respect for him. I really enjoyed like listening to him and asking him a couple of questions, which I was never expecting that. And still, I still don't think he could write a team book. I still think that his solo books are his strongest point, and Jessica Jones is probably his best book he's done recently. And I don't know if I'll pick up his books at DC because I don't have a need to read more Bendis.
well,
Even though he was a nice guy.
Well, he's bringing. He's going to be going to Superman, but then his Jinx World. All his Jinx World titles are now coming to DC. All of them.
That must be the hook.
Yes.
To away from Marvel.
As long as they don't forget that, as long as he doesn't forget which character is playing which character, as long as he doesn't forget that, this is supposed to be Superior Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, like he did in Age of Ultron. I had to ask you because you mentioned.
I think he was doing a lot of stuff then, though. That's why I think I think that could be the problem with maybe when he has too many projects going on, he gets sidetracked and he forgets things because Dan Slott came out and saved his ass on that and said, "Oh no, that should read, it's supposed to be Doc Ock." Clearly not. The first appearances of Spider-Man in Age of Ultron was clearly not Dr. Octopus. That was Peter Parker dialogue. And then they came out and they kind of, I don't know if it was just kind of like a tongue in cheek, like, no, yeah, it's supposed to be like we really screwed up. we'll get it right next time kind of thing. But I don't know. I think he had too much going on. He was doing powers and everything at the time. I don't know how many times.